Today on my channel, Faith and Planner Friends, we're going to decorate in my prayer journal. And I really want to delve into the power of prayer, the power of keeping a prayer journal. And I want to give you some of the reasons why this helps, what it's helped me see. And so, yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Stay tuned. Hello, planner friends. Welcome to my channel. I'm One Crafty Dolo, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. Thank you. Thank you for the gift of your time, your presence. If you're new, you're welcome to join my growing community. I try to foster a happy, creative, faith-filled space on the internet. If you're returning and you're a subscriber, you comment, you like, thank you so much. It means more to me than you may realize. Well, this video is for Sunday, which means on Sundays on my channel, it's always about faith, Jesus, prayer, faith studies, and I always have a good mug of tea nearby. Okay, friends, so I'm filming this on Thursday, and Sunday's coming up, so let's get into this. This space is my prayer journal. This year, I decided to keep a prayer journal because I needed it. I needed a dedicated space. And today, what I want to do is decorate the rest of September. And I want to discuss the power of prayer and why you may want to keep a prayer journal. Now, I've got all kinds of things around me. I've got some washi tape here. I've got some I always recycle jam jars. I've got various stamps. I have a bunch of inks up here. So I have some things that we can get into. So let's have some fun, friends. So ironically, this morning, this is a petite planner from Erin Condren. They just released this morning their new variant for next year. Of course, they just finished a sale, so I'm not going near it for now. They've changed covers, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how I feel about that. But Jesus, prayer, and tea. That's kind of my motto here. Pray it up. What I like about these booklets is that they're only, so this one is July, August, September. They're 3 months each, so you change the books out. I have found this to be a great space for delving into prayer. So today, as I said, let's get up to September here. I make it creative. I make it, the prayer itself is meaningful. You don't need this space. You can get a composition book. You can get a Dollar Tree notebook. What helps me, what I needed, if this is going to make sense to you, I needed something dated because I wanted to be accountable every day. And really quickly, I have this to keep track of sermons. And then this back here is a gratitude journal. And ironically, I had said to Erin Condren, I'm sure other people did too, they have a gratitude journal. And this is something different. And they brought it back. So I thought that was kind of fun. And here we are today. I still have space. This is just a dot grid notebook from Plum Paper. It's working well. So let's get into it, shall we? So what I want to talk to you today is, goodness gracious, this hard life. Am I right? You know what? I think I'm going to remove this booklet to make this easier. Yeah, let's do that. That's one of the things I like about this. It feels very portable to me. So this hard life and why prayer is so necessary. Okay, let me get some clips here. I'm always doing things. I have this clip and I have this clip. Let's get in here and let's mark things off so I can just decorate and have fun here. There we go. Oh, that works. Okay. So I'm just going to decorate and talk about the power of prayer and why I think I'm encouraging you. This space is a wonderful space for prayer, and again, keeps me pretty accountable. Alrighty, friends. Incidentally, this washi is Dollar Tree, I believe. Guess what? One of the best things that we can do to cope with this very difficult life of ours is, simply put, to be in prayer. This hard life, okay? Think about wherever you are in your life journey, your pathway. Grief, people you've lost, whether it's through death, it could also be, people walk away from us, right? That hurts. It can be through grief. Grief is about loss, but it can be multifaceted, if you will. Grief about the loss of people, as I said, voluntary, involuntary, of course, through death. Grief can also be about loss of family in terms of people who aren't in touch with you or maybe you have a problem with. It can be about your career, maybe or your workplace. Things haven't gone, and they often don't. Okay, I have met so many people who think one thing and then they get another, if you will, in terms of their working life. It could be forced to leave where you live. There's so much grief and so much trauma we have to process. There's also, on the other side of grief, and I do deal with this quite a bit, unfortunately, there's worry and there's anxiety. There's fear about the future. Well, let me say this. You're not alone in this journey. And first off, we all experience these things. Secondly, I have found sticking to a prayer routine really does help. Okay. It combats the world. I always, in all of my faith studies, or at least the majority of them, one thing comes through again and again and again. Let's see if I can get this straight. Incidentally, I have some visual challenges, so I don't always get things quite straight, but I try. A for effort. Anyway, the world distracts us from what matters. The world keeps us focused on terrible things, and it's so hard not to get sucked in. If I'm in the States and current politics is horrible and awful and overwhelming, and it's been that way for a while. This isn't new. And incidentally, I am a historian. That's what my profession is. So I do tend to take a long-range view of things, but even I'm struggling these days with the ideas of what people are doing, what's going on, how it's going, what. And so people like to say, oh, this is the most divided our country has ever been. Well, I'm sorry, there was the American Civil War, so there's that. People make all these proclamations and I get aggravated, and then I walk away from reading or watching or ingesting a lot of news. It's hard. It's really hard. I am convinced now, I'm in my third year? Yeah, of faith studies, and I'm going to tell you right now that the world is worlding, shall we say. The world is going to try to keep you distracted because, let's be honest here, if you're distracted, you'll click the link to the article. If you're distracted, you're going to go out and buy yourself some self-help books or whatever, or listen to somebody's podcast who says, hey, the world is just more divided. Look at you. You need help. I'm convinced there's an entire billions of dollars industry that's invested in keeping us feeling bad about ourselves. I don't know how else to phrase that. Just for us to feel pretty lousy, to put it bluntly. So the world distracts you and then creates meaningless voids within you. Now, hear me out. Think about this, okay, friends? If you're watching this video, you're presumably a person of faith. So you're walking through your life and you're experiencing various losses. You're walking through your life and people are walking over you with their giant tennis shoes, and you're frustrated and you're angry and you're hurt and you're sad, and you get beat down at a point. You just do. Let's be honest. You get beat down. We all do. You could be young. It could happen quickly. You can be older. It doesn't matter. The world really takes it out of you. And then the world creates an environment to distract you, further create your voids, taking you away from God and prayer. me turning to this prayer journal and adding in the sermon notes, which I have to admit I'm behind. Recently I haven't felt 100% to go to church, so when I can, I watch it on YouTube. I'm chronically ill. And so I take notes on the sermon, and then I transpose them into my book here, because you know what? I need that. Think of your car needs gasoline, unless you have an EV, and then it needs to be charged. Either way, your vehicle needs an infusion to keep going. That's what prayer is. That's what church is. Think of it as an infusion to keep you going through the rest of the week. Boom, right? And so I turned to this space. I created this space because I felt my prayer life was kind of stagnant. Now, there are some prayers that we have memorized, whatever they may be. If you're Catholic, maybe it's the Rosary, right? Hail Marys. If you're Catholic, Protestant, whatever you are, you may have the Lord's Prayer memorized. One of the things that I like to say to myself sometimes, it's Numbers 6, 24 through 26, I think. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up your countenance and give you peace. That a lot of pastors say at the end of this church service. And sometimes I dig into that one. That matters to me. But I also know that in 365 days of the year, I need to do better than a few memorized prayers. And so I felt that I simply needed more. I'm doing faith studies. I'm learning. I'm doing Bible, which are basically Bible studies. I'm doing all these things, but where else can I go? Well, prayer. And again, what helps me is these are dated, so I feel, I'm a nerd. Let's be clear. I'm a nerd. So the assignment is fill something in here every day, and I'm doing it. Now, I'm doing it with my heart. It's not like I'm just doing it for, the heck of it. But I am aware, keenly aware, that I need to do this every day. And that this matters. And this is just a visual reminder. So, how do you improve your prayer life? Why do you need the prayer? I explained the world, God, loss, grief, life. Life is lifing, as they say now. I think that's funny. It's a verb now, lifing. But what do you do to find the space? Maybe you're a mom. Maybe you're a grandmother. Maybe you're an auntie or someone caring for children. There's so many ways that maybe you're working. There was a time when I was writing my dissertation. I was raising my son. I worked full time. I worked part time. It was insane. It was just insane. How do you find time for prayer, and what does it mean to find time for prayer? Okay, now let me grab some stamps here and let's have some fun. I love stamping. I love this creative process. First off, there's the idea of quiet time and space and spending it in faith and what that actually means to you in your life. Where do you find the space? Okay. Most of us have time at a premium, so we need to really dig in. And this ink is kind of dying here, so I don't know how much more I'm going to use it. So what do we do to dig in? Very simply, clear out the underbrush and find pockets of time. And I hate to say it this way because it sounds like I'm relegating God to pockets of time when God should be front and center, right? I don't mean to say it that way. But sometimes if we don't make time, well, then that's a problem too. So start with, do you need to get up a few minutes early? If you're at work, is there any way possible, and I mean this, any way possible for you to take a lunch break and spend some quiet time with the Lord. Sequester yourself if you can, if it's possible. Can you do that? At night, if you have children, if you've worked, is there time at night? Because I'm telling you right now that you have to make the time to do this. It's not just going to come to you. And so what I do varies. A lot of times I will do this in the morning, in the quiet, excuse me, just before the rest of my day is beginning. I will turn to this space in part to set it off on the right track. Okay, I wanted to pause because I needed to blot this for some reason, and I wanted to wash off those stamps because those are such vibrant colors. So let me continue. When we think about prayer, I don't want you to think about being overwhelmed. You can make it short and sweet. You can keep, a running list. You can look for prompts. I'm Lutheran, so there's I think it's quarterly, a book with prayer prompts in it that I often use, that I like. There's also online prompts. There's apps. Perhaps you saw, I forget the guy's name. He's Mark Wahlberg. That's it. He did an advertisement, I think it was during the Super Bowl, about prayer prompts in an app called, I believe, Hallow. I don't know anything about it. I haven't used it. I use the Uuver Bible App. And what the Uuver Bible App does is every single day, you can get a reminder, set a notification. You can also do it on your laptop. The prayer is guided prayer. So it starts off with prayers, and it gives you 2 verses usually every day, and then with a prompt underneath those verses, which personally, I really like that. Okay, I do, because I feel like it just, it helps me to see, what I can and could do. It helped me out of feeling stagnant, and that's a me thing. But the idea is you don't have to, we should spend time with God, and we should give God our time. But a little bit of time is better than none. Let's be very clear. And you know what I like to remind myself all the time? I say this to me inwardly. God and Jesus every day. Right? God and Jesus every day. Because unfortunately, I suffer from anxiety. I wish I didn't. It's just a fact of my life. I don't like it. I hate anxiety. I would just as soon off with it, but here we are. And so to combat all of this, I've created a space where I just feel it just brings me closer to God, and it helps me navigate the challenges. And I come back to this psalm again and again. King David, love King David. And he says, Psalm 139:14, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And you are. But guess what? Okay, I hate to say it this way, but I'm being honest with you. The world has a vested interest, the devil has a vested interest in you not seeing that very truth. The shape of your nose, your height. You were created by an ever-loving God to be you. And so the world spends your lifetime, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to cry. I'm going to try not to cry. The world spends a lifetime telling you you're inadequate. You don't matter. And then you go through the things I described earlier, and no wonder we're stressed. No wonder we're anxious. The thing I don't think I mentioned earlier is this idea of anticipatory grief, where you just want to hold on to things in your life and you're so scared of what's going to happen one day. I know I'm not alone in this. Unfortunately, I wish I was. I'll be honest with you. I wish I were alone, but I'm not. And so combating it is, you have to think of it this way too, please. You have to actively combat those destructive forces in your life. You can't be passive. Sorry, you can't. You can't sit there and say, well, I think it'll be okay. Well, no, it may not be okay. Or I should rephrase that and say, how can it be okay without God and Jesus every day? Tough one, right? I mean, these are facts, man, facts. My son had a friend in high school who used to say that all the time. Facts, man, facts. Great kid. Anyway, I'm not trying to pontificate. I'm not trying to, act like I'm so superior. I'm just scrubbing along here and sharing my experiences in the hope of inspiring you as well. Anticipatory grief is something it took me a long time to know what it was and to put a name on it. So that is something I've dealt with on and off through the years. And so I feel like it's just a fact in my life. And that comes from anxiety. Where is that coming from? And so I'm working really, really hard to try to stave it off as much as possible. And to do that, I use my app. And I needed an everyday space to do exactly this. I also think it's important, again, church, like gasoline for your car, right? We think of the foods we eat, we think of this, we think of that. Let me see here. Yeah, let's use this. Sorry, talking to myself. But we also need to think about what else is going to fuel us. And, God does, prayer does. So, really briefly, how do I use this in terms of my prayer? What am I doing? Okay, I'd like to say that I was so clever that I know what I'm doing. No, again, I'm just a person scrubbing along here, trying to do what's right, but not always succeeding. First off, again, I make quiet time in the morning when I can. Sometimes it is at night, but I'm always in here. And yes, when we go somewhere, this goes in my purse. It just does. Now I always carry a big tote bag because that's me. But anyway, you know what, I'm going to put right there. I carry it around with me wherever we're on vacation. Doesn't matter. This comes with me. The whole thing comes with me because I'm keeping the gratitude journal. Let me clean up and I'm going to come back, friends. Okay, I just wanted to wash off my stamps and so forth. So, my process, I'm going to show you some of this month just to give you an idea of how I'm doing this. In the YouVersion app or in the little booklet, there's always scriptures. And then I write one or both scriptures. It depends. There's prompts. So when there's a prompt, I will put quotation marks because that's the professor in me. And then I will extrapolate something from the readings or the prompts and write it in larger letters down here. I do highlight parts of the scripture in here. Sometimes I love doing this too. Thoughts. So what this space does, it helps me keep God and Jesus in my life every day. It helps me release a lot of loss, grief, anticipatory grief, stress, worry. And it really has made me increasingly aware of how much God is directing everything. And sometimes the best thing we can do is step back, right? And remember, God is eternally divine, right? And so I took that, extrapolated that from Romans 1:20 here. What I love about this is no matter what I'm facing, no matter what challenges come up, I've created a space, and for me, decorating it is a way to hold myself accountable. It's decorated. So it's a 2-step process, right? In teaching, that's actually a thing as well. If you ever taught anything with writing or, where's your outline? Where's your rough draft? Like that process, I kind of modify it, obviously, but I apply it to here. So I decorate, and then I go in here, and here I came across again the verses, I should say, from Numbers 6 that I really love. But I really try to get in here and, yeah, do these things. And so the other thing this space has made me realize is just how much it's forced me to look backwards, which I don't often do, and realize how many lifelines God sent me and God sends us. And we talk about that, my husband and I, a lot now, about when we took the lifeline, when we foolishly thought we had to solve everything. God is directing us. We need to be open to accepting His will versus ours, thinking we need to fix this situation or fix that situation. And yes, that includes, I'm sorry, the United States and its political landscape, although I don't know how great Europe's doing either. You see what I mean? So rather than obsess about that, you pray it up, you turn to God, and you realize, God, everything is His will, and it will unfold, as it were. So that's why I really recommend some type of prayer journal in your life to hold you accountable and to deepen your walk. There are prayers I don't put it right down as much, or I'll just generalize because I know I'm going to show it on this channel. But there's a quote from Maya Angelou. I forget the exact quote, but basically, the more creative you are, the more creativity you have. I would say that applies to God and Jesus. The more time you spend with the Lord, the more time you spend with prayer, the more time you're going to spend with the Lord and to spend in prayer. And so that's really an important thing for me personally to help me navigate this crazy, ridiculous life. One more thing I just want to share with you, and I don't mean to do self-promotion on here. I just want to draw your attention to something. If you're interested in my channel, this is my second article for the Lutheran Women's Quarterly, and I'm really excited about that. I didn't expect it. It kind of came out of nowhere that they accepted it. I get a lot of rejections from places. In fact, I'm waiting on one that I assume is a rejection. I haven't heard from them, but you just never know. Again, and it doesn't bother me because I just keep on doing my thing here. But this article, if you go to my channel, in fact, I'll put it in the description box. I have a link to the article online, and it explains how and why I started this channel. Okay. And so I'm sharing with you to lift you up because I've been through so much. We all have. And so my goal is to share with you. This channel is run on a shoestring. I'm not making money from it. I don't care about that. What I care about is putting some good into this world as we are required to do. If I can say prayers for you, put it in the comments below. It would be my privilege and my honor to do so. God bless you, friends. Have a blessed day and week. By Faith and Planner Friends. Bye now.